Japan, a land of stunning contrasts where the serene majesty of Mount Fuji meets the vibrant neon glow of Tokyo's Shibuya crossing. This nation seamlessly integrates ancient traditions with cutting-edge innovation. Once samurai roamed its lands, bound by honor, today Japan is a beacon of technological advancement and economic prowess. But what journey did this island nation undertake to evolve from a medieval feudal society into a global superpower? Join us as we unveil the epic saga of a country that has consistently reimagined and reinvented itself. Our adventure begins in the 12th century, amidst the twilight of the Heian era. The imperial court's diminishing influence gave rise to the daimyo, regional warlords who planted the seeds of a new social order. From this upheaval, a distinctive warrior class emerged, the samurai. Upheld by the stringent virtues of bushido, the way of the warrior, these samurai became the guardians, leaders, and the very embodiment of Japan's feudal governance. The principles of bushido, emphasizing honor, loyalty, and bravery, did not merely guide the samurai in battle. They infused Japanese society, culture, and philosophy, leaving a lasting imprint. The ascension of the samurai heralded the onset of military rule, an epoch characterized by profound shifts in power dynamics, cultural practices, and technological advancements. Embark with us on a captivating journey through Japan's rich history, where we'll uncover the pivotal moments that have sculpted this nation into what it is today. From the unification under the formidable Tokugawa Shogunate to the revolutionary shifts brought about by the Meiji Restoration through the tumultuous upheavals of the 20th century, leading to an astonishing economic revival after World War II. Each chapter of our exploration is a vibrant testament to Japan's undying resilience, remarkable ingenuity, and unwavering spirit of innovation, which continues to inspire the world. This is the story of Japan's extraordinary journey from samurai to superpower. As the Heian period declined and the centralized power of Japan's imperial court in Kyoto began to weaken, the nation's landscape underwent a significant transformation. The diminishing imperial authority allowed regional lords, known as daimyo, to rise to prominence, each carving out their territories. This shift in power dynamics led to the emergence of the samurai, a new class of disciplined and skilled warriors dedicated to protecting these emerging domains. The samurai were not only soldiers but also pivotal figures in Japan's history, embodying the virtues of loyalty, honor, and martial prowess. Their rise was both a response to the times and a catalyst for change, setting the stage for centuries of samurai influence and shaping the destiny of Japan. The training of a samurai was grueling and started at a young age. Physical conditioning was paramount, but spiritual training was equally important. The samurai practiced Zen meditation to develop mental discipline, enhance their martial skills, and provide a philosophical foundation for the Bushido Code, the core of samurai ethics. This code emphasized loyalty to one's lord, honor in battle, and a commitment to self-improvement. The samurai's role quickly expanded from mere warriors to leaders, administrators, and law enforcers. Their loyalty was unwavering, often leading them to pledge allegiance to daimyo in exchange for land and wealth. Based on mutual loyalty, this feudal structure established a system of vassalage that would define Japanese society for centuries. The Genpei War, 1180 to 1185, was a pivotal conflict that shaped Japan's political landscape and solidified the samurai's influence. It was marked by legendary battles like the Battle of Dan no Ura, where the Minamoto clan triumphed over the Taira, ushering in the Kamakura Shogunate in 1192. Minamoto no Yoritomo, the victorious leader, became Japan's first shogun, formalizing samurai rule at the highest level of government. Under the Kamakura Shogunate, samurai governance became institutionalized. The samurai developed a distinct cultural identity, becoming patrons of arts like calligraphy, no theater, and tea ceremonies. Zen Buddhism played a crucial role, instilling a sense of inner calm and clarity, even amid the chaos of battle. Yet the life of a samurai remained harsh and uncertain, as feudal rivalries persisted, laying the foundation for the turbulent Sengoku Jidai, or Warring States period. The Kamakura Shogunate, established by Minamoto no Yoritomo, marked the beginning of samurai governance. However, by the 14th century, the system faced increasing challenges. The Ashikaga Shogunate took over in 1336, but struggled to maintain central control as regional daimyo grew in power and ambition. This era of uncertainty led to one of Japan's most violent periods, the Sengoku Jidai, or Warring States era, 1467 to 1603. The Sengoku Jidai was characterized by continuous warfare among daimyo, each vying for control of land and resources. Castle building became an essential part of this era, with massive fortresses like Osaka Castle and Himeji Castle serving as defensive strongholds and regional power centers. Samurai tactics evolved rapidly, incorporating firearms introduced by Portuguese traders in the 1540s, which changed battle dynamics. Amid the chaos, three powerful leaders emerged who would reshape Japan: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Oda Nobunaga was the first to make significant strides toward unification, using innovative tactics and ruthless strategies to eliminate his rivals. He famously destroyed the Enryaku-ji monastery on Mount Hiei, a stronghold of warrior monks who resisted his rule, demonstrating both his ambition and brutality. After Nobunaga's assassination in 1582, Toyotomi Hideyoshi continued the campaign for unification. He not only conquered rival daimyo, but also implemented reforms to consolidate power. Hideyoshi conducted land surveys, enforced a rigid class system, and prohibited the possession of swords by non-samurai, effectively centralizing military power and solidifying social hierarchies. He even attempted to expand Japan's influence through invasions of Korea in the 1590s, though these campaigns failed. Following Hideyoshi's death, Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged as the most powerful daimyo. His victory at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600 marked the end of the Warring States period and the beginning of the Tokugawa Shogunate, which would bring an era of peace and stability lasting over 250 years. The Edo period that followed was marked by strict social order, economic growth, and cultural flourishing, setting the foundation for modern Japan. With Tokugawa Ieyasu's victory at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, Japan entered a new era of centralized rule. In 1603, Ieyasu declared himself shogun, establishing the Tokugawa Shogunate. This marked the beginning of the Edo period, a time defined by strict social order, peace, and isolation. The Tokugawa Shogunate established a rigid social hierarchy to maintain stability. At the top were the samurai, followed by farmers, artisans, and merchants. Samurai were no longer primarily warriors, they became administrators, managing the shogunate's vast bureaucracy and enforcing policies. To ensure loyalty and prevent rebellion, the shogunate implemented the Sankin Kotai system, requiring daimyo to spend alternate years under surveillance in Edo, modern Tokyo. This policy fostered economic growth as roads, inns, and towns developed along the daimyo's travel routes, connecting regions and boosting commerce. During this period, Japan adopted a sakoku, or national isolation policy, limiting foreign influence. Trade was restricted to Dutch and Chinese merchants at Nagasaki, which allowed the shogunate to control foreign interactions while maintaining stability. This isolation preserved traditional culture, including samurai practices, arts, and customs, even as Western powers rapidly advanced. Despite the rigid social structure, the Edo period was also a time of cultural flourishing. Samurai became patrons of no theater, ukiyo-e woodblock prints, haiku poetry, and the tea ceremony, which became integral parts of Japanese culture. The growth of the merchant class, or chain, also created a vibrant urban culture, with kabuki theaters and pleasure districts becoming popular. By the early 19th century, the Tokugawa system faced significant challenges. Severe famines, economic hardship, and growing discontent among samurai and peasants weakened the shogunate's authority. Meanwhile, the arrival of Western powers demanding trade and diplomacy exposed Japan's technological gap and set the stage for a new reform era. By the mid-19th century, Japan's isolationist policy, sakoku, had kept it closed off from most of the world for over 200 years. However, as Western powers expanded their influence in Asia, pressure mounted on Japan to open its borders. This culminated in the arrival of American Commodore Matthew Perry in 1853, whose black ships anchored in Edo Bay marked the end of Japan's isolation. Perry's demands for trade agreements were met with fear and urgency among Japan's leaders. The Tokugawa Shogunate, unable to resist Western military superiority, signed the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854, which granted the U.S. access to Japanese ports. This opened the floodgates for similar treaties with other Western nations, all seen as unequal and humiliating. Internally, Japan was deeply divided over how to respond to this foreign pressure. Many samurai, driven by national pride, advocated for rapid modernization to counter Western dominance, while others believed Japan should cling to its traditions. This internal conflict set the stage for the Boshin War of 1868, a civil conflict between pro-imperial forces and the shogunate loyalists. The pro-imperial forces, with strong support from the samurai of the Satsuma and Choshu clans, ultimately emerged victorious. The Meiji Restoration began, marked by the formal return of power to the emperor, who became the symbol of a new era of modernization. This power shift represented not just the shogunate's fall, but the birth of modern Japan. The Meiji leaders quickly launched a series of sweeping reforms. The old social hierarchy was dismantled, and samurai were stripped of their traditional privileges. Western experts were invited to Japan to advise on everything from military strategy to industrial techniques. The government promoted education, established a national army, and embraced Western political systems, signaling Japan's determined entry into the modern world. The Meiji Restoration, initiated in 1868, was a defining moment in Japan's transformation. With the emperor restored as the symbolic head of state, a new era of modernization began. The Meiji government focused on Fukoku Kyohei, rich country, strong army, as the guiding principle, aiming to build a powerful nation capable of competing with Western powers. To achieve this, Japan undertook comprehensive reforms across all sectors. The samurai class, once the ruling elite, was formally abolished and conscription was introduced, creating a modern national army. Samurai were compensated with government bonds, but many struggled to adapt to the new economic landscape. Some became successful entrepreneurs, while others faded into poverty. Education became a cornerstone of modernization. A Western-style school system was established, emphasizing science, mathematics, and literacy. This new focus on education created a skilled workforce and fostered a sense of national identity, uniting the population around the goal of building a modern nation. Industrialization accelerated rapidly during the Meiji era. Infrastructure projects, including railways, telegraph lines, and ports, were launched, connecting cities and boosting commerce. Government-supported zaibatsu, large industrial conglomerates like Mitsubishi and Mitsui, emerged, driving economic growth and Japan's global trade presence. Politically, Japan adopted Western-style governance, establishing a constitutional monarchy with the Meiji Constitution in 1889. The emperor remained the symbolic head, but a parliamentary system with an elected diet allowed for some limited public representation. By the turn of the 20th century, Japan had become industrialized. Its military victories in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, and the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, demonstrated its newfound strength, signaling Japan's arrival as a global power. By the early 20th century, Japan's transformation from a feudal society into a modern industrial power was complete. Its victories in the First Sino-Japanese War and Russo-Japanese War were not just military achievements but symbols of Japan's entry into global politics. These wars established Japan's dominance in East Asia, allowing it to claim territories like Taiwan and secure influence in Korea and Manchuria. Japan's annexation of Korea in 1910 was a significant step in its imperial ambitions, marking a new phase of expansion. The Japanese government implemented sweeping reforms, modernizing Korea's infrastructure and imposing harsh colonial rule. This move demonstrated Japan's commitment to imperial expansion and sparked resentment among Koreans, planting seeds of resistance that would last for decades. World War I, 1914 to 1918, provided Japan with another opportunity to assert its influence. As European powers focused on the war, Japan seized German territories in the Pacific and parts of China. The Treaty of Versailles recognized these territorial gains, further enhancing Japan's status. Domestically, the war spurred economic growth as Japan supplied goods to Allied forces, boosting its industrial sector. Despite international success, internal challenges mounted. The Taisho democracy movement, 1912 to 1926, sought greater political participation, but Japan's political landscape remained unstable. The Great Kanto earthquake in 1923 devastated Tokyo, creating economic challenges and highlighting the need for modernization. Meanwhile, nationalism and militarism gained momentum, driven by the belief that Japan's survival depended on securing more resources and expanding its territories. By the 1930s, Japan's expansionist agenda accelerated. The invasion of Manchuria in 1931 marked a shift toward aggressive military conquest. The establishment of Manchukuo as a puppet state intensified Japan's conflict with China, culminating in the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937. At home, the rise of ultra-nationalist groups further militarized the government, setting Japan on a collision course with Western powers. The establishment of Manchukuo as a puppet state intensified Japan's conflict with China, culminating in the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937. At home, the rise of ultra-nationalist groups further militarized the government, setting Japan on a collision course with Western powers. The growing economic pressures and resource shortages fueled Japan's drive for empire. The government sought control over Southeast Asia's oil, rubber, and minerals, leading to confrontations with the United States and Britain. Japan's alliance with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy in 1940 solidified its position among the Axis powers, deepening its involvement in global conflicts. Domestically, Japan prepared for a total war effort. The government mobilized resources, conscripted men, and promoted national unity through propaganda. The growing militarization of society and increasing economic hardships further entrenched Japan's aggressive foreign policy, with leaders believing that territorial expansion was the only way to secure Japan's future. Japan's ambitions reached their peak with the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, launching the Pacific War against the United States. This bold but risky move was intended to secure resources and establish dominance in the Pacific. Still, it also marked the beginning of Japan's most catastrophic conflict, setting the stage for the dramatic events of World War II. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, bringing the United States into World War II. This bold move was intended to secure Japan's dominance in the Pacific and access to vital resources, but it set off a conflict that would ultimately devastate the nation. In the early years of the Pacific War, Japan's military achieved rapid victories, capturing territories across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. However, the momentum shifted with key defeats like the Battle of Midway in 1942, where the U.S. Navy crippled Japan's carrier fleet, turning the tide of the war. As the Allies pushed closer to Japan's home islands, relentless bombing campaigns decimated Japanese cities. The Allied strategy of island hopping weakened Japan's defenses, while submarine blockades strangled its supply lines, creating severe shortages of food and resources. By 1945, Japan faced overwhelming military pressure. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima on August 6th and Nagasaki on August 9th, combined with the Soviet Union's declaration of war, forced Japan to surrender. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's capitulation, marking the end of World War II and the start of a new chapter in Japanese history. The US-led occupation that followed brought significant reforms, including disbanding Japan's military, adopting a democratic constitution, and land reforms that reshaped the agricultural sector. The occupation aimed to rebuild Japan as a peaceful, economically stable nation. It was a period of profound change that laid the foundation for Japan's post-war recovery and eventual resurgence as a global economic power. Post-war Japan faced unprecedented challenges. Its cities were devastated, its economy shattered, and millions of lives disrupted. Yet this period of hardship set the stage for one of the most remarkable recoveries in modern history, an era known as the Japanese economic miracle. With US support during the occupation, Japan implemented major economic reforms. Land redistribution empowered farmers, while labor laws improved working conditions. Education became a central focus, promoting a skilled workforce capable of driving industrial growth. Japan also benefited from the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, which boosted its economy through increased demand for supplies and production. The government played a pivotal role in fostering rapid industrialization. Policies encouraged savings, protected nascent industries, and prioritized export-driven growth. Zaibatsu, large family-controlled industrial conglomerates, were restructured into more competitive corporations like Mitsubishi, Mitsui, and Sumitomo. By the 1960s, Japan's manufacturing sector boomed with companies like Sony, Toyota, and Honda becoming global leaders. The 1964 Tokyo Olympics symbolized Japan's recovery, showcasing its modernization to the world. Innovations in electronics, automobiles, and robotics became hallmarks of Japan's industrial prowess. The 1980s marked the peak of Japan's economic expansion as it became the world's second-largest economy. Yet this rapid growth was not without challenges. A speculative real estate bubble burst in the early 1990s, leading to a prolonged period of stagnation known as the Lost Decade. Nevertheless, Japan's resilience remained intact, retaining its position as a major global economy. Today, Japan is not just a major economic power but a symbol of cultural dynamism. Its influence spans industries, from cutting-edge robotics and electronics to global fashion and anime. Major corporations like Toyota, Sony, and SoftBank continue to drive global markets and innovation. Tokyo, Japan's capital, represents the blend of ancient tradition and modern innovation. Skyscrapers house tech giants, while centuries-old temples offer serene escapes from the city's hustle. Japan's urban infrastructure, including the world-renowned Shinkansen, bullet trains, highlights its commitment to efficiency and technological excellence. Culturally, Japan's impact is felt worldwide. Anime and manga have transcended borders, becoming a global phenomenon. The Japanese art of cuisine, from sushi to ramen, has gained widespread popularity, reflecting a deep-rooted culture of precision and craftsmanship. Events like the 2020 Tokyo Olympics showcase Japan's spirit of hospitality, technological advances, and resilience in adapting to unexpected challenges. However, Japan faces formidable challenges in the 21st century. The aging population, one of the oldest in the world, has created labor shortages, increased healthcare demands, and put pressure on social welfare systems. To address this, Japan invests in automation, AI-driven healthcare, and immigration reforms to revitalize the workforce. Energy sustainability is another priority. After the Fukushima disaster in 2011, Japan has explored renewable energy, such as solar, wind, and hydrogen, to reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels and nuclear energy. Government initiatives aim to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, positioning Japan as a leader in green technology. Japan's response to globalization includes strengthening diplomatic ties and economic partnerships through initiatives like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and active roles in international organizations. Despite geopolitical tensions, Japan emphasizes diplomacy, technological collaboration, and cultural exchange as key elements of its foreign policy. While Japan has reinvented itself over the centuries, it continues to honor its heritage. Traditional festivals, rituals, and practices remain integral to daily life, creating a unique balance between the past and the present. This ongoing blend of tradition and progress makes Japan a model of adaptation and cultural preservation. With challenges ahead, Japan's story of resilience, discipline, and creativity remains a source of inspiration for the world. As the country looks toward the future, it does so with the same spirit that has defined its journey from samurai rule to superpower. Japan's journey from feudal samurai rule to a modern global power is remarkable transformation, adaptation, and resilience. It has been shaped by periods of intense conflict, sweeping reforms, and a persistent spirit of innovation. At the heart of Japan's transformation is the enduring spirit of the samurai. Bushido's principles, honor, loyalty, and continuous improvement have permeated Japan's corporate culture, education, and governance. Even in the fast-paced, high-tech environment of modern Japan, the values of the past still resonate, influencing ethics and daily life. Japan's ability to embrace change while preserving its cultural heritage is one of its defining traits. The country's economic resilience, technological advancements, and global cultural influence reflect the lessons learned over centuries of transformation. The balance between tradition and innovation continues to guide Japan's approach to the challenges of the 21st century. Yet Japan's story also serves as a cautionary tale. The impact of rapid industrialization, imperialism, and post-war recovery have shaped the nation's identity, but they also highlight the consequences of social upheaval, military aggression, and economic inequality. As Japan navigates the future, its history offers lessons for itself and the world. From samurai swords to skyscrapers, Japan's legacy is persistence, adaptation, and the pursuit of excellence. It is a nation that has repeatedly redefined itself, demonstrating that true strength lies in physical power and the ability to transform and endure. As we end this journey through Japan's remarkable transformation, we reflect on a nation that has continuously adapted while preserving its unique cultural identity. From feudal warriors to economic pioneers, Japan's legacy is one of resilience, innovation, and the pursuit of excellence. This story of Japan is far from over. Its enduring spirit inspires its people and the global community as it navigates modern challenges. Thank you for joining us on this journey from samurai to superpower. If you've enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to ExploreHist for more immersive stories that bring history to life.